Hey, thanks for clicking in. This is the Brox and Max channel. For those of you that may not have seen any of my stuff, feel free to click on all the other videos that I have of just a whole bunch of stuff, working on stuff, some junk trucks, some truck show stuff, all sorts of things. Just the camera follows me wherever I go now. Seems to be a thing. On this particular edition, have to do some maintenance on the old 225. I'll put in the description of the very first video that I put of this machine, doing some routine maintenance, hose changes, and having to drain the whole hydraulic system and all that stuff. This particular machine, before it is, it's still ready to go, but our caliber ready to go, it needs some cylinder work. Need to do the bucket cylinder and need to do both boom cylinders, need to repack them. The seals have finally let go enough that I'd get a little bit nervous taking it out on a job, that it would finally just let loose and you can't finish the job with it. I gotta do what I gotta do and change that. Then the boom cylinders here got a big old gouge of no seal anymore, and I guess that's expected. 87 machine. I doubt either three of these have ever been repacked. We have repacked the dipper cylinder already, so just these three things that have to get done, and this machine is 1000% ready to go no matter what. I don't want to say it's premature. This bucket cylinder is definitely ready, and then that left side boom cylinder is definitely ready, but I'm going to do both just because, and then it's going to be ready to go. So I'm going to put it in place and start tearing stuff apart. If you're interested to see how I tackle this job and take everything apart, well, feel free to keep tuning in. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bolt out and get this pin about 50% of the way out, just to make it a little bit easier, because I'm going to be removing this barrel and keeping the rod in place. And you'll understand further the further we dig into this. It's worked in the past and it's going to work in the present. My plan for this, before I disconnect everything, is undo those two pressure and return lines on this barrel. Trying to recover as much oil as I possibly can to be able to put it back in the machine. So naturally, clean buckets and just a clean environment would be handy. But we're in God's garage today. And by the way, it's just a perfect day for November this time of year. It's like 72 degrees out. So it must be global warming really is a thing. I'm trying to recover as much oil as I can instead of just blowing it all over the ground and making a huge mess. And you saw in the video that this barrel did a twist in a weird way. It actually worked out better in my favor. Instead of me having to lower this down and then kind of catching it as it was lowered, I just have to twist it a little bit with this bar to turn it 90 degrees to be able to dump the rest of this out so I can get to the internals of this cylinder. And theoretically, this barrel, both ends, should be empty. It's always a given that there's going to be some, but I just drained probably 5 gallons out of, maybe 2 out of the one side, and then 3 out of this, and then the piston is somewhere right here in the middle. So far, this is working good. Most of you are probably thinking, why on earth would you even do it this way? Why did you leave only one end? Never mind, why did you unbolt it from the barrel? Anybody that's ever done their own unbolts it from the rod. Well, in this particular case, I want the rod to stay put, as you'll see later. I'm going to get this barrel off. I'm going to level this up a little bit so I don't do any damage while I separate them. I got to take these bolts out, split this apart, and then everybody will have a good understanding of what is going on inside this cylinder, and it is not pretty. Normally not a good thing when this kind of free spins, goes back and forth kind of easy. It's a pretty tight fit when all the seals and everything are doing what it's supposed to do. So it's time. Gotta get this barrel off. Then everybody can see what the end of the rod looks like where the piston is. This is going to get pretty serious pretty fast here. I got my big jack stand, which is basically our workbench, blocked it up, and I'm going to have it ready so we can bust this 4-inch nut loose. And this is no joke how tight this thing is. So the whole point of that, strap everything down so it doesn't move anywhere. And I had to slightly alter my homemade 4-inch socket from way back in the day because this snout here is a little longer than the other cylinders that I've packed, so I had to egg it out a little bit. Don't know if you can see it in there, but watch and see the menagerie here. It's either going to work or it's not. before I put this back together, I happened to notice this piece was in the barrel riding around, and the only thing I could think this actually is the internals of a hydraulic hose. That's the shape of it. I don't know which hose, because all the ones that are on the machine now are all new. Obviously it's been riding around a while. Glad I caught that. Apparently my camera decided that it had enough, and I never was able to get the footage of me dangling off this ladder here to put that pin up there. But this is basically what we had to do for this cylinder. To go up there and connect the two hoses up there, but it went good. Actually, very good. Pretty happy with how it's going so far. Maybe one of you viewers was a mechanic for CAT and probably laughs at this video to see how we do our cylinder work here. We don't have a cylinder table or anything like that. We're not in the business, but it just seems to work. We've done this about maybe 5-6 times. So there you have it. One down, 2 more to go. Basically going to do the same practice, other than boom cylinders. The barrels stay on the machine and I'll be pulling the rods. I'll probably end up fastening it to this table somehow. I might use one of these 2 big holes to fasten the eyelet down, so we can do the same thing to crack that big nut loose. But this is what we do. All outdoors. The machine's a little tight in the garage, that's why we chose a good day, and again, global warming is a thing. But thanks for watching, and I'll catch you at the next one.